Hi Sheila, how you doing?
Good. How about you? Beautiful view. I wish I was there.
Yeah.
I'd serve dinner tonight. I would. I'd make it happen.
So yeah, it's been very nice moving here to Lake Tahoe again. So yeah, we have a great view. We're in a great spot, so we're pretty happy.
That is so awesome. Just miss you guys.
Yeah.
I know Gina does. She was right around the corner. Didn't tell me that for until you guys were gone.
Oh,
So, what do you want to know?
so I got your PDF. Also have I have the book in Kindle form if we want to like bring it up that way as well.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, your table of contents. Let's kind of go into that. Just cover that, and what I'd like to get is your viewpoint on the coming arrest and what that might look like. So get your opinion
Well,
on
reportedly, there's more U.S. Marshals in D.C. than there are National Guard. This is not about street crimes, but
that.
it's
Oh
kind
yeah,
of fun to watch,
very
isn't
good,
it?
very good. Yeah, it is. And it's just a opening salvo because we'll probably start seeing that move to other cities as well, like you said.
It's already like San Diego, the Marines. And then remember the Q drop that was MCCP, and I thought it had to do with CCP. I mean, wouldn't you? And then
Yeah,
I'm out in California, and it's Marine Corps Camp Pendleton. Hello, and that's what activated everything going to LA in June.
yeah. Wow,
That
fascinating.
whole lead up to June 14, and then what happened on June 14, and now it's been never stopped. And you know what friends have said, and they live right in DC. They have totally taken apart brick by brick, block by block, the Federal Reserve building. They were taking the roof off last week. You
Yeah,
probably heard the same things.
I saw it like well over a year ago, a year and a half ago. They just like digging it up and everything. Just
Yep.
now they say they're they're gonna like completely refab it or something, but I don't think so because it's not surrounded by a fence like the White House and the what is the not the Federal Reserve but the where we keep our money. So the
Treasury.
yeah, thank you, Treasury. So the Treasury Department's got a fence around it, and the White House. Other than that, nothing else.
That was the first building they went into on June 14th. Our
Mm,
guys went in, and I mean, we're talking 20, 30 at a time, and then it started to get smaller by the time people took videos. But they said when this started, and it started at the Treasury, and they went in, and the conversation is, and I don't know what all this would mean, that they had to convert everything back to the Republic. And they went into every single federal building on June 14th. Troops did.
wow, fascinating. All right, so you ready to start?
Yeah.
We'll start, and then I'm going to post it. We're not going to do live.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to give us some problems. Let me double check and make sure that I'm on the right. Yep, we're on the right. We're on the the right the satellite. The satellite. Elon Musk is going to give us the right one. It's right there behind me, so I'm like right next to it.
Awesome.
So we're not
You
going.
have a Starlink setup then.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
And
my
now
gosh.
when I go with my regular internet, Frontier is like super fast, but they hijack it. They hijack it
Yep.
big time. And I came out one morning, very early in the morning to put the trash out, and there was a Frontier truck right outside my house. And then once he saw me like hightailed it out, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's suspicious. So, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, now I got all kind of problems with my internet when I do shows. So
Yeah. This
I
is this
get
is
like
good.
I just know when these guys are doing their stuff, and I just like just
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
I just sent you an email about the Un-American Activities Committee. They've done some changing, just like all the other committees. And what happened is it's come all the way through, and now all of their functions are out of the Judicial Committee. I sent that to you because I thought that could be fun. That's heading into Chapter 19, and Chapter 18 is the whole FBI, CIA, Bluebird, Mockingbird. It's all that kind of stuff. Hoover. It's a mixture. The FBI chapter I think is the biggest chapter in the book, probably because of what they did to me. I'm not happy. Had a conversation with General Vallely yesterday. You know him?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've been on a show with him. He's a great guy.
Well,
Love.
he called me. Somebody gave him my book.
Yeah.
He's like, I thought I knew you, because we were doing the Todd Calendar stuff, got back in 2018, 19, coming into the genocide in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew me from all of that. And he said, I thought I knew you. And I said, well, sir, the one that Flynn really likes is Nation Restoration. He goes, yeah. He said, we were just talking about you. And I said, what? And he said, I just had a 1 hour meeting with him on the phone.
Oh,
We
wow.
were talking about you. And what do you, excuse me? It was the weirdest conversation out of the blue.
Huh.
And I don't know his number, you know what I mean? So as I get this call and I wasn't going to take it. God said, oh, answer it. So I answered this unknown number and boom, it was him.
Wow. Very cool.
He wrote the stuff that's happening right now in DC up for the president. He wrote the border stuff for what's happening in San Diego. He
Oh,
was the guy that did the Sinaloa project. And
incredible.
the Sinaloa family, you know about the 17 that turned themselves into San Diego FBI back
Hmm.
in May.
Hmm.
And then they had 29 leaders of the cartels come up and was cooperating. And now she's expelled another 26. That just happened this last week. I mean, they're all coming here to be dealt with
Huh.
because our guys are willing to deal with them
Very
because
cool.
their people are here.
Wow. Amazing.
So,
All right, let's jump in. We've already talked about some really good stuff we could have been talking about, so it's great.
yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. I have Sheila Holm back, and she's got some amazing stuff. We were just talking, and wow, Sheila, you just have so many incredible things that you know about. You were talking about General Vallely. I've had him on a show, quite an outstanding general, and he's still active. Active doing some really good stuff. He's helped inform the Trump administration. So how have you been?
I'm doing good. Had a really great call with him. I mean, how spectacular is this? He's got a whole series of books beyond treason. And I said, "What is beyond treason?" He said, "Oh, I got to get the books to you." So he's autographing them and sending them to me. And he wrote the golden age that we're going into. He wrote that information too. That's a series. He's going to send me those. So I'm going to have a lot more information for you once I read up on all this stuff. But he called because somebody sent him my new book.
Oh, good,
So.
good.
Mhm.
So he thought highly about, obviously, and he's like, I got to talk to this lady, and then he did. So that's good. He's that kind of guy. He's a go getter.
Mhm.
So we're
Mhm.
we're lucky to have him on our side, and
Yes.
we're lucky to have you on our side. Of course, you have excellent contact with the higher realms, and they communicate with you, and just absolutely miraculous things happen and have been happening with you. And your latest book, which is an incredible book, is out, and let's talk about that. So I think I've read a lot of this book. I think it's one of the books that everybody should be reading right now. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it was starting out to just be how we're going to save America.
Mm-hmm.
But international attorney Todd Callender just handed me the 45 points on how they destroy America. Because we were working together on what was happening before the Brunson case became revealed to the public. And because they didn't take their oaths, I just had a conversation about what happened to me in San Diego. And he said, "So what do you think is going on?" And I said, "How could they do all these things to me if they had taken an oath to our Constitution?" So then he had his paralegal, Lisa, go and research all the judges, including the J6 judges in DC. None of them took their oaths, and none of them chose within the 10 days to cure their oaths. So on April 18, and this would have been in, I think, 22, on April 18, he filed a district court case. He's now in the circuit court on that case. All these judges aren't taking their oaths either. But that's in this new book because point 13 is avoid all loyalty oaths, which is why we don't have state constitutions. So when he handed me this, he knew I was going to have to write a book about it, this crazy Todd Calendar. And if you haven't interviewed him, I'll get you guys together. He's working on projects with Vallely, and they're working on the new stuff that they're trying to do to us. So I'll
Great.
get you guys connected. So anyway, when he handed me these 45 points, I said, yeah, I could probably do a book and I'll add some scripture. Then God said, whoop, no, it's got to be a training manual. I'm like, you know how much everything in my books has changed in 10 years. How am I going to write for the future generations? You're telling me some kind of training manual to pass on for 300, 400 years? I mean, if the Pilgrims couldn't do it for 500, they didn't make it the 250. We had the Civil War and we lost it all, so how am I going to do this? And this book absolutely shocks me. It's not this. I thought it'd be the summary of what he had shown me. Not true. He had to show me everything to prepare me to be able to do this book, to be able to get the truth together in such a way that people could understand, oh my gosh, we fell for it. We fell for it. That's what we did. Every single one of these 45 points. And then every time they got us into one, they got us into the next one. Then as soon as they accomplished that one, they took us into the next one. So that's why now when they've got us to the 45 points to go into the world courts, people go, well, our judicial system is so bad. All of this was steps into it. And so because we've slid down this slippery slope, here we are. Here we are exactly where they wanted us to be.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about these 45 points, and it's amazing because like you said, this training manual of how they've come in to basically sabotage America. And America is, as we know, if America goes, then so goes the world. And that works the opposite way too. If I'm speaking in a negative way, yes, but we're speaking in a positive way. So we know their plans. You have been given their plans. 45 steps that they use to basically take down America. You go through each one of them, and we have a way to counter that. So what do you see bigger picture that's unfolding as we're moving forward for these 45 plans? And I already see, like you talked about we were talking about the FBI and I think the CIA as well, that they're going to be reformed and taken down to a great extent. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, they created and added it. We didn't need it. We absolutely didn't need it. All these guys come out of those top secret societies, and the very high one is who established this country. The high nobles in the Knights of Pythias, and that's why President Kennedy said in a speech 7 days before they took him out, while I'm still in this high noble office, but we didn't know what high nobles were, you know what I mean? Then I'm gonna be revealing to you, because Eisenhower gave him the whole plan as to what they were doing. But how do you get all the tentacles off of this plan? Because once there's a plan going forward, everybody they involve adds to this plan. So, but the problem they have is that they only have human wisdom, so they can't change the plan. But what we never understood, there's two layers to this, and I didn't talk about this new layer. Now Jan Helper Hayes and the president are kind of saying the same thing. It was the Vatican, it was the Crown of England, and what they did in the United States. That's why those 10 square miles called the District of Columbia had nothing to do with America. And they can't do that. It's our land. It's they came in and took over that land, changed the title, changed the structure, put in place what they wanted to put in place so that they could take control of us. So what I cover in the new book that's out now, what I'm telling you right now is going to be in book 7, in the beginning, ... in ancient times, because from ancient times, this has been the plan, that we shouldn't be here. That's what the Georgia Guidestones were about. We don't deserve to be here. God cursed Adam, and he can't be on the land ever since the Garden of Eden. And that's why people laughed. But I said, guys, we're going back. We are ripping the whole thing down, going back to what was available in the Garden of Eden, because that was never, we were never cursed. That did not happen. But that's the lie that they've been operating in the world, and we didn't realize what we were up against.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I love an eternal plan that always trumps a human plan. And you're saving souls, saving America, and saving the world. This is the information that's coming through in this book. Now, the June 14th. Tell us about June 14th. We were just kind of discussing that just before the show.
Well, our president brought us all back to the fact of our militia when he kept saying the regular, and you were in the military, so I don't know the military terms as well as you do, but when I brought this up with the military guys I talked to, they go, how did you pick up on that? And I said, because I was in San Diego at the time. I was getting my car smogged, and it took a long, long time to get everything done to get the car smogged. And so there I was, and here's the Navy guys that went to the craziest looking, I don't know if you've seen them, but they've got the craziest looking blue camo. I mean, like blue camo just like doesn't make any sense. It's not gonna, because you're in water. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. They're all green now. And so I stopped a young man at breakfast. So I said, sir, I said, I really want to thank you for your service. And here we are and what's happening in LA. It was right at that whole time. And I didn't realize when the Q post came out, MCCP, I thought it had to do with CCP. And I thought, is it millennial CCP? Sheila tries to do this. I go back in Sheila mode, I call it, because I don't have that wisdom. Okay. So yeah, so here I am in San Diego and thanking him. And I said, what's happening in LA? He said, ma'am, I can't talk about it. And I said, well, I can describe it from a civilian perspective, and maybe this will help you describe it to your dad, because I know you can't say what's really going on. But I said that the Marine Corps MC of Camp Pendleton, CCP. There you go. See what I mean? Marine Corps Camp Pendleton is what that stood for. When they're activated, that's when all of this starts. Well, that was happening right before June 14th. And June 14, when the president brought and he identified him, this is our Coast Guard DC. Okay. What he did was obliterate DC on June 14th. So he brought them in. He brought Marines, DC. He brought Army, DC. He brought them all in together and had those troops do what? Take an oath to what? To our republic.
That's beautiful. That's right.
So, see, he had them all oath.
All the tanks rolling through the street. I thought, wow, this is very interesting. The fireworks, and it was beautiful. Yep. But it was basically so that, this is where we're going. Military.
So then he came out to the podium. And he stood, and Melania has never done this, where she swings around in front of him and stands at that angle position. Remember, at the podium right in front of him? Yeah. And then the guy that came forward was from what? The King's unit. That's all chess play. So comes up, so it's checkmate. And what does he do? In the military, my dad was in World War II, and so on his funeral, they take the flag off of where it's flying. And he said, sir, this is the one that was flying over the Capitol as of today. Okay. Right. The Capitol is DC. Okay. Nice. We took it down and they folded it in military uniform fold and handed it to the man who's over the family. Do you see?
Yeah. Wow.
Just like they do at a funeral. And it was the one over the Capitol. So all of this is significant.
There you go.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, everybody thought that all Congress was sitting in there that day and they were arrested. I think the Capitol has been empty the majority of time since 21, because you think back, how many times did you see all these guys out in there supposedly talking to the speaker or talking to the front? There's nobody there. They've got no entourage. They don't even have an extra person handing them anything. They're just standing there at the podium by themselves. I mean, excuse me. So I think it was a really big step. And when he did that, what he did was reactivated our militia from sea to shining sea, because our militia hasn't been able to operate. In fact, that's the question that came out. You've heard about these Democrats that took off out of Texas because they didn't want to do a vote on the redistricting. Okay. Yeah. So then they were going to send the Texas Texas Rangers after him.
Oh, okay.
Well, not the Texas Rangers. They're at the power level of a U.S. Marshal. And right now, it's not just crimes in D.C. on the street. There are as many or more quoted to be in D.C. right now than the National Guard that's in D.C. to clean up the crimes in D.C. It's a much bigger situation than people are understanding. Boots on ground even. So with that happening, I was talking about
800 National Guard, and remember Trump said to Nancy Pelosi, I can bring in 15,000 National Guard. So these 800 or 1,000, under 1,000 that he has in there right now are basically just setting up for a big that's coming.
Yes, for the upsets and unrest based on what's coming, because the breakup of our country were the acts of war in 2020. And all of those people are boots on ground here from all of the nations that were operating in our elections against us in 2020 to take over our nation. So with all of that being housed there.
And also with the Democrats going to New York and Chicago, you know, we've talked about how there's going to be like 14, I think there's going to be upwards of 17 cities that were probably going to get trashed. And so those Democrats running to those two cities are an indication that the Democrats and the evil groups are going to run to these cities in a last-ditch effort to try and maintain. So I think that was an indicator of what's coming.
Well, and that's where the Texas guys went on a private jet that was chartered for them. So there's a lot more people in trouble than the Democrats who tried to escape from Texas. But the Texas Rangers, did you know that Governor Abbott was involved in this? And Texas Rangers, the title was changed because they're at U.S. Marshal level. And so Texas Rangers became Texas State Guard. The National Guard is under the Army. They're not militia, okay? Right. And so the National Guard, Lieutenant Colonel Pete Chambers, and if you've had him on, haven't you?
Not Pete Chambers, no.
Oh, I've got to get you guys connected. There's a couple of reasons I'll explain to you. Okay. So he's over the Texas Rangers now because they put him over the National Guard to take care of the border. The National Guard can't take care of the border because they're part of the military-industrial complex that's not able to control the border. So in our Constitution, it's a militia. So here we come back to what President Trump did on June 14 by regularizing, whatever the term would be, all of our military, all under the same Constitution, all under the same structure, all under the same control. It goes back to the Constitution. If you're between 18 and 55 and able-bodied, and you can come in, and they come in and out because they have to work too to pay for their families. So they come in and out and take care of the border. And if it's too many that are coming in, then it becomes a multi-state, because as soon as they get into Texas, Arizona, California, they go on to other states. And so it was to stop that. It's taken care of in our Constitution. We've never been able to do that because they got rid of, deregularized all of our militia. So our militia have not been active. And that's why I did an article called Remember the Alamo. We're in the same situation where they tried to do what they tried to do then. And you cannot let this happen, because once they infiltrate, they're everywhere. And that's where we are now.
Yep.
So when you mentioned about these cities, how funny is it Texas went to Chicago?
Yeah.
I mean, all of them went on the same plane to Chicago. So.
Yep, they're going to run. I think that's probably going to happen with a lot of Democrats. I don't think the Democrats as a party exist going forward. All the corruption, all the evil that they've done over the last, several decades is going to get exposed, and no one's going to want to vote for them anymore. They may still have a remnant going forward, but I think that's why Elon Musk, came out with his new party, because there will be a new party, because the Democrat Party is going away.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the parties are a problem, because they're all the tops of the parties, and you can't get in these parties, you can't get in these positions unless you're in the club of the societies. You have to be controlled. Right. And this whole structure has to be broken down. And that's why the whole DC thing had to go. That's why so many people aren't even using the word DC or the term DC since June 14, because it's just a town called Washington. And they took land from two of the states, I think it's Maryland and Virginia, to create it, so that they tried to control that whole region. And that is pretty much what they've done. Everybody, defers to them to control everything.
Yeah. So what area of the book do you think we're moving towards more than anything else? And which ones have we, probably taken over? You sent me something about the FBI chapter 18. Has some interesting points. Then chapter 19 begins with the Un-American Activities Committee, House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC. It's an investigative committee of the United States House of Representatives, created in 1938 to investigate alleged disloyalty and subversive activities. That sounds very interesting, and something that is probably happening right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's the beginning of chapter 19 that goes through, it goes backwards. So it's, I put it at the beginning because that's how it goes. That's the next point. So the FBI, I believe, is point 35. So I think it's 34 that would be the un-American activities. And this is what they do. We don't understand. They said that that was where the communist ties were in. I mean, the whole Democratic National Socialist Party moved us to this location, took over the 10 square miles, and called it DC back in 1792. We were up in New York, which was always America's city, in the federal building. And it was just a few people, you know what I mean? It was a little two-story building. I think it's still there. And Washington was sworn in there in 1789. And by 92, they'd already moved us to DC, but they made it into their worship center that we didn't know until 2020.
Hmm.
We
Wow.
didn't know about the formation of the owl. We didn't know about all the tunnels underneath. We didn't know about all of these things.
Yeah, the
So
capital
this
was first in Annapolis, right?
I don't know. The federal building in DC is all that I've ever found. But where's the location? It starts with an L, doesn't it? Where the CIA, the headquarters of that main base. Um, I'll think of it. Maybe it's the town that the base is in. But it's just south of DC. Anyway, what happens with these guys is that that committee went through some changes, and then they tried to say that they abolished it because people got upset by 1975. And so, but they never abolished it. They took all of those functions and put it in the House Judicial Committee. And so it just
Okay.
kind of gets shoved in under what that is. It's just like what we mentioned last time in the FBI chapter, the Bonaparte starts National Municipality League, takes over all the towns, villages, towns, cities, counties, states. That's why there's no state constitutions that are being ratified in the majority of our states, is because they didn't want you to take a loyalty oath. And if you take a loyalty oath to a state constitution that isn't ratified, it doesn't mean anything. So the people in the state have never demanded that they get to vote on their constitution and it's in position to hold people accountable. So they've torn us apart by all of these layers. So in doing so, what happens is there's no difference when they change the titles on these things. None of this has changed. They're just shoving it into another area. And look at what happened to our judicial system since the 70s. And what happened within CIA under Casey since the 80s. You must tell them everything false until everything they believe in America is a lie. And that's what they've done. Truth couldn't exist. That's why these layers create a psychiatric layer and then just have everyone evaluated. And now they're not just evaluating you if you're in court to see whether or not they want to accept your opinion. They'll have a psychiatrist say that you can't be trusted and your truth will never make it to the court. Now they're evaluating little children to see what they should do with the little children. And then most of them don't get to go back to their family. I mean, all of these layers feed into exactly what you were saying. Points 18 and 34 and 35, chapters 18 and 19. That's exactly what has been going on. And so all
Just
of
to
this
clarify,
feeds in together.
your history is right. It says Annapolis was not the first capital of the United States. It says while it did serve as a capital for a brief period when the Continental Congress met there November 8th, because I remember seeing a plaque there when I was stationed there in Annapolis as a SEAL motivator at the academy.
Wow.
So from November 8, 1783 to August 1784, it says the first capital of the newly formed nation was actually New York City. And then it moved to Philadelphia. And then, like you said, the time frame, it was Washington, D.C. Very good.
And I forget what year they burned it because the White House was burned. I think it was wood before. And that was burned.
The War of 1812 of Britain. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. That's where the Creek gained their name. Don't, God willing, and the Creek don't rise. That was an uprising to get their land back. And so they fought to help America save the land from England. We've never been free from England, but anyway, they tried. And so what's really crazy is they fought until like 15 or 16, and then by 20 they were pushing them into the Trail of Tears. And so even though they won their court case, so here we go.
Now you just made an interesting comment that we've never been free from England. Do you think that we're moving that direction now with Trump moving in and starting to seize the city?
Well, what's really interesting is they have a sign, and the crown that was currently there with Charles and et cetera, they have a date above it now. And Jan Helper Hayes provided this date. I've never seen this piece, but it's right up above. I don't know if it's at their castle, the Buckingham Palace, or where it's at. But it says the realm, and it says 1867 of just his family to 2017. Remember when she surrendered to him? And then he viewed the guard, inspected the guard, and then he made Charles come along like a little puppy dog. Neither one of them knew how to walk. They didn't know where to put their feet. They were completely dumbfounded that all of this was happening. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of interesting. But Jan Helper Hayes is being really big about it being the Vatican, the Crown, and the United States that they've controlled. But to me, it's the three realms. It's the empires. And the first empire was Rome, and then the next one was Berlin, which is why that was the wall. Remember when Reagan said, take down this wall? That wall was to protect the world order in Berlin. Wow. And that's where the world order was. And then what happened? They moved it to America in 1871 when they put us under this corporation that's registered under England, just like the state of Israel is registered under England. And so the realm and the timing and how they've done these things, you can, when you look backwards into it, that's why God had me write this book backwards. You look backwards into it, you can see, oh, they had to do that so they could do this. And now, oh, they had to do that so they could do this. And that's why we did a little short interview on the setup. We only got, I think, a 17-minute on that one. And I'm so grateful you put that out. I've had so many comments on that of the value that people got out of the 17 minutes is amazing. And I couldn't believe you were able to put something together because we were attacked so horribly and so quickly. And I thought, we're not going to be able to put anything out. And people are loving that length for the 17 minutes. And you're 15, you did a 1 minute, I think, of our May 15 interview. And that 1 minute explains everything in 1 minute. And I don't know if you remember doing that. You do so many little clips, but we've kept that on the interviews page right below the featured interview. Michael Jaco's 1 minute. People are just going wild over that. And so I just want to thank you so much because we're trying to keep it as concise as possible. But they throw so much mud and confusion around absolutely everything because that's how they operate. Keep us distracted. All this stuff going on. Do you think these people are dead? Do you think these people have been already through tribunals? Do you think tribunals are already going on? Doesn't matter. We got to do boots on ground, but we can do because we have to turn around every village, town, city, county, state. We got to clean up everything in order to go forward.
Yeah. It seems pretty imposing, but I think it's going to happen in its own time. Now, I think there's a possibility that we may see some states that will break away, and we'll have other states that will like break away from those states. If you look at Northern California, Oregon, and Washington, the eastern side of both those states, Oregon, Washington, they all want to break away. And there's a possibility that could happen. Northern California and those two states, and then the rest of those states will break away and they won't be part of the union anymore. So there's lots of talk of how this is going to go forward. If they break away from us, I mean, they will just wither and die because it's we the people that are making that happen, and they can't keep paying all these people all this money that they pay them for nothing. If they don't have us to do it. So what do you think is going to happen with that?
Well, look at all the money they've cut off. Remember when there was a trip by our friend over to Antarctica, and then all of a sudden the next week there was this big announcement that $980 trillion were removed from their clandestine banks. Well, clandestine banks wouldn't be in any of our nations. Their clandestine banks were in their community under Antarctica, where they were building up to be when they eliminate us, and then they wait until the air clears to come back above. I mean, it's unbelievable, unbelievable what has been cut off from them. And then you look at what Doge did.
Yep.
And then I don't know if we talked about it, but the Ukrainian situation is really going to come to the forefront. I haven't said as much about that, but a little bit of it's in this book. It's up in the 360s. If you go to like 362 area, you're going to find the map of Ukraine that confirms that the entire area that's got its own language is the ancient land of Khazaria. Khazarian nation was ancient Khazaria is that particular area. There's a little bit of green on that map. And on that map, those people speak more Russian, but a little bit mixed of the Ukrainian language. And then all to the right of it, from down under Crimea and coming up that whole side of all those unique, it should be the page right above this page.
Is that it?
Is right there. There's that map. And that west and center is all ancient Khazaria. That whole land has been ancient Khazaria for many generations,
Yeah.
and all the way back. And then they've mixed in some, but everybody else still speaks Russian. And this is what the concern is to this day, is what happened with those people that are Russian that are mixed in with all of this. And then if you go back to where you saw those symbols on the next page, right there,
Wow,
you
look at
see
that.
when we're using the Ukrainian flag, that's the Ukrainian logo. That's their crest.
Wow.
It's the same one that people use during rituals to summon Lucifer, the Moloch. And it's the same one that the people all the way from ancient Khazaria are being awarded. And that's the medal they are receiving when they're awarded. And it's all the same symbol.
No, I just noticed this connection. It says World Order brought to Charleston, South Carolina. I'm a South Carolinian, and I love Charleston. That's just very disconcerting. But Albert Pike in 1871, America became a corporation, like you just said earlier.
Yeah.
1871, American taxpayer funds changing leadership globally, positioning leadership in America. Wow. God, you get so much. I mean, just one page is like, it's just like a wow. But every page is like this. Incredible.
Well, that's what's so much fun. And I did a lot of about Albert Pike back in my first book in the book series. And then people kept wanting to know more about Albert Pike. And we had a Pike that was president, and we had a Pike that was tight with Kissinger. Do you know what they say? Their parents died when they were young, and so they don't know their names. Excuse me. You know what I mean? And so to try and do the genealogy, and people go, well, I really wish you would know if they were directly related. I said, you go ahead and guess. They don't even tell us where they're from. I mean, all of these fake people.
I know they're all like that too.
Yeah.
All of them have.
They're from Germany. They're from Switzerland. Well, what town? Switzerland. Well, what town in Germany? Germany. Well, but our relatives had to clear their police records, make sure all their bills were paid and everything before they could get pay for a boat to come. You know what I mean? And so it's just really interesting how so this infiltration of people with undocumented. I heard something interesting today. They're changing the terminology from illegal immigrants to undocumented immigrants. It's all illegal. If you're undocumented and you're illegal, you're not an immigrant. So anyway, but if you, I don't know if we can jump to page 406. I think it's on page 406 where I get into Ukraine again. And you're gonna love this, because this is remember when Zelensky was put under pressure and he was meeting with the president for 40 minutes and he wasn't even being respectful. And then after 40 minutes, then VP Vance comes in and starts questioning him on the finances and the military items we've sent and all those kind of things. And he gets so angry, but we got him to say what he needed to say so we could go in and audit, because we've been sending billions of dollars and all this equipment and doing all we could to help him. Do you know what I mean? And as the president said, all Biden sent you was blankets. We send you, is it javelins? Am I saying something right in the military terms?
Yeah, javelin's a missile.
Yes. So we send you javelins, he sent you blankets, and you're mad at me. And so he's talking to him, and I put a picture in of when he was in the meeting with the president and with JD Vance. I think it's about page 406.
Okay.
And so that's a good page to bring up, because then somebody gave me the Sun Tzu quote in a conversation, and
That's 406.
that doesn't seem right. Let me see here. It's let me go back.
Gosh, you got so much information on each one of these pages. Just incredible.
Well, you know what I did? You see how
Yeah.
it ends a chapter and then there's like a half a page before the next one starts, because it starts on an odd side. And people have been so angry with me. Don't leave any blank spaces in your books. There it is. There we are. Now this is going to unfold what I wanted to show you. That's the meeting that they were having. The press was there. And this is at the 40-minute mark when JD Vance is starting to say, wait a minute, that we're doing this for you, we're doing this for you, and you're disrespecting our president, you're disrespecting this meeting. And as you scroll down, there's two more pictures. There's one, I wanted people to see the NATO symbol, and this is where he was saying, I'll resign if you just let Ukraine get in NATO. Because see, all the funding comes out of America for NATO. We're paying more than 70%. So for decades,
it's a Nazi symbol. When you look at the shading,
yep,
it's the
same thing.
At the
Yep.
swastika. Yep.
And so so we've been paying all of this money. So what do? And we did the same thing in Iraq. Remember, we went into Iraq and in 3 days obliterated them. And then what do we do? Now they've got a new airport, they've got new communities, they've got new, do you know what I mean?
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's what we've done. All these nations in NATO, we have been bombing and then rebuilding since World War I, World War II. All of our Liberty bonds, billions of dollars. President Woodrow Wilson sent to Europe. We never got any of those billions of dollars back, and we got the Liberty bonds to help us. Okay. So then this was the ultimate when I got this from one of the military guys that are on the weekly Zoom calls. An evil man will burn his own nation to the ground to rule over the ashes. And
Wow.
that's exactly what all these guys are doing. And people are going to be shocked how many of these nations that we've been funding were involved in the 2020 election to end America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was telling you about the open spaces
I
between.
like your point there for eliminating prayer in school. I
Yep.
remember as a little boy, we did the Pledge of Allegiance and we said a prayer. I thought that was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Second grade, and then they did away with it.
Yeah.
So by
And the Pledge of Allegiance too.
and the Pledge of Allegiance, yeah, it was gone.
Most kids don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So
That
yeah,
is
all of these are the
very
points.
spiritual. I was like, I was so happy,
Mm-hmm.
and things seemed to change after that. They really did. School wasn't as it was tough going through school. I thought after that.
Mm-hmm.
I loved school. Kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and then third grade it changed.
Yep.
Yeah.
All on purpose. All on purpose, because that's why I had to write this backwards, because if we didn't understand they were taking us into the world courts, you wouldn't care as much about them changing morals or changing art or changing the culture or changing not letting students learn cursive. I can't go to a UPS store or a FedEx and ship anything where I've handwritten the envelope and to put in the shipping so they can figure out the address. They can't read cursive. And all of our original documents are in cursive. I mean, they've absolutely prepped for us to never be able to survive all of this.
Wow.
And it was so subtle. And that's why if you read the points forward, and I was so mad that God made me flip the whole darn book, but if you read them forward, they're so subtle that it'd take you, be pages and you'd quit reading. Because like, where's the importance in this? But when you realize the depth of the evil, the depth of the lies, to say that the Panama Canal land zone will cease to exist. We paid 375 million between 1903 and 1940, and we paid another 40 million to France and 10 million to Panama, and all of that money that we paid then and everything we've paid to keep it going since, and you say that it will cease to exist, and we have to give it back to the Panamanians when it was never theirs,
Yeah.
and we paid them for the land. It's just, when you realize reading it backwards, you're like, well, how did they do this? And then you do want to know how all of these little points, they all added up to exactly where they were directing and driving our lives and manipulating everything we think and say and do with each other, and how we think of other people and all the division.
And then using
It's
America
all
to take over the world.
programmed, all
Military goes
programmed.
in and destroys any military that could possibly exist, which none can against us. And then we go in, like you're talking about. I didn't realize that, but now it makes sense. We go in and basically rebuild our country because now we own it, or they own it, not we people.
Yeah.
This deep state agglomeration. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, because their families are there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a global. You mentioned about Albert Pike, and I didn't go into that. Albert Pike and the One World Order, and this is something interesting. In 1864, and I think it's okay. There's a little caveat I'm going to add that I didn't emphasize in this book, and that is that he came down from Boston. He and Justice Rathbone. So he started the Masons and all the bottom stuff in 1864. Then Justice Rathbone, and neither one of these guys had a background. They all came with this information from Europe and just did this to us, right? And our guys made it like they weren't all united together. There's been no difference between the Republican and Democrat Party. That's what I was going to show you. So what happened was he came down to the South, and they immediately, because he was well over 6 foot tall, well over 300 pounds, the guy was very commanding. And this is before he started the Masons, and they made him a brigadier general in the Confederate Army. Did you ever hear this about him?
I didn't know that.
He was out there scalping Native Americans. That's how the whole scalping thing started. Remember, in the movies, we think they were coming and scalping us with their hatchets. Well, that's what he was doing. So Jefferson Davis sent out word that they wanted him arrested. He got word that he was going to be arrested, so he immediately sends a resignation letter, because by the time they arrest him and they bring him back to Macon, Georgia, where they were going to head the government, that's why God had me in Georgia without a car for so long, to really dig in, to get out what I needed to get out so I could get out of Georgia. That was back in 2013, 14, right? I'm going to get out of Georgia. And so Jefferson Davis just let him off. Since he was going to resign, he just let him off. They didn't arrest him. He didn't serve any penance for anything. Okay, so that's like 1863. 1864, he starts a Masonic Lodge in Macon, Georgia, the Scottish Rite Temple, the York Rite, the Blue Rite, starts a Masonic home for orphans in Macon, Georgia. 1871, he gathers all the 33rd degree Masons. Oh, he starts the Odd Fellows, runs it. He starts the KKK, runs it for Grand Master for 12 years until he dies. Wow. I mean, he started all of this. Okay, that's all Albert Pike. And so then he brings all these 33rd degree Masons. You know who his right-hand guy is? Giuseppe Mazzini. Now, who is that? A guy from Italy. Started the Italian Mafia in 1860.
Wow.
So are these guys really just from Germany, or do they have Khazarian ties, or do they, you know what I mean? Because we don't know any of this history, because they've never allowed us to know any of this history. But this is one guy does all of that. Then here comes Justice Rathbone, who was a substitute teacher in Michigan. And they made a big deal about that, and then being a clerk in the Treasury office in DC, okay, for 6 months or whatever. And then all of a sudden he goes to Congress and says, would you like to enact this? And our Congress enacted the Knights of Pythias and the orders of knighthood that are at the top of all these secret societies that you have to prove your way all the way through to get there, right? But these guys all came with all of this power and authority out of Europe, and our Congress enacted them and has been paying for them ever since.
Wow.
1864. And the Knights of Pythias are over the Sunshine Boys and Girls. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Red Cross, American Cancer Society, all these things that they were enacting in America, and we're paying for all of it to happen to us. And it was Knights of Pythias that took out Lincoln. That's in my book series, and I didn't emphasize it in this, but
we
most of
had basically won the Civil War, but when they came in and they assassinated him and almost assassinated some of his his cabinet. His vice president somehow escaped. The guy that was going to assassinate him decided, nah, I'm not going to kill him today. And yeah, right. So
yeah,
it turned out to be as dirty as they come. Wow.
yeah. Because the Booth family, John Wilkes Booth, his family is an entertaining family because the Knights of Pythias are in every industry. That's why you're finding it. It's not just Hollywood. It's Knights of Pythias in entertainment. It's Knights of Pythias in financial. It's Knights of Pythias, and you see what I mean? You all had to be these. The only two living that are listed on their website are Charles Schumer and Anthony Weiner. What are the chances? Everybody else is on the memorial pages. Nobody that's alive lets anybody know they're in these societies. But those two are named, Charles Schumer and Anthony Weiner. So
Interesting. So how much longer do we have before we, in your opinion, do we see the rest? I think they're going to start sometime in October. And like you mentioned, have they already started? It doesn't matter really. It's boots on the ground for us. But when do you think this really kicks off and things really start to get wonky?
well, a lot of people are detained right now.
Okay.
So they're already off the streets. They're already out of their homes. They're already detained. And the people from the other nations, it's confirmed that they're already on our soil and ready for their hearings. So when it's going to kick off, but we've got to get ourselves organized for our 26 election because we have to completely clean the slate. We've tried everything to clean the voter rolls. There's been new software developed by Dr. Rick Richards here in Augusta, and everybody was working on that. And all the counties are working on that. You can't clean it up when they have so fraudulently put so many people in who are not legally Americans. So we're probably going to have to start over re-registering everybody. And so that's going to have to start by October. And that's why the hot time is supposed to be now to September. And then by October, I think it only gives us an 8-month window. We're going to absolutely do everything we can to not have any early voting, to have same day voting, paper ballots, clean the sucker up. That's why the battle in Texas we talked about, they don't want the districts cleaned up so we can do 1-day voting.
Right. Huh.
And they keep wanting to do ballot harvesting. That's not legal. They want to keep doing all these things they've been doing bigger and better than the other party. And we've got Boone Cutler, who wrote the books with Flynn, he made a very short, like 40-second video. And he just said, guys, this is the bottom line. You get out of the party conversation. It's not Republicans. It's not Democrats. They're all together. It's a uniparty. If they keep you in this two-party conversation of who's right and who's wrong, we'll never get ourselves out of this.
I agree. Yeah, I don't have any allegiance to any of those parties, only to an individual that proves himself by merit, So, of course, President Trump has done that many times over. Now, we have John Brennan, who has left the country and gone to Austria. Now, Austria said that they will not extradite John Brennan unless Trump agrees not to execute him. The maximum punishment they will allow is life in prison. I made a comment on this. I posted this on X, and I said, sure, we won't execute him. Go ahead and send him back. Or you can keep him. We'll send an execution team, and you can clean the mess up. Which
I like both of them. Either one, A or B. Can I circle both?
Yeah, win-win. Exactly.
Just,
that's the way we work going forward. We don't play the game anymore.
Yeah, because Austria isn't big enough to have a voice in this. They're not.
Yeah, but you have the background. You could just talk it. That's
Well, remember we talked about points 1 and 2. And as wonderful Americans, they got us to capitulate World War II and end it because we didn't want nuclear. And then we cleared the land in Oak Ridge, kept it all a secret, built a whole community. Families were never able to tell anybody they even lived in Oak Ridge or what they were doing in Oak Ridge. They had to separate from everybody. And we built the bombs. We paid the price. We brought the scientists here, paid the 15 million, brought the whole situation, and we became responsible for building the bombs and dropping the bombs. I mean, we're not going to do this anymore, but we need to prepare because we aren't always going to have a Trump.
Right. Good point. Good point. And we also gave the information about the bombs to Russia, well, Soviet Union. So and that's been disclosed. So wow, and probably to a lot of other people. Like I remember when the Clintons were in, there was a lot of talk about how they were giving nuclear secrets to China.
Well, and in the FBI chapter, I think people are going to enjoy this. The Bush family were never Bush.
Right.
And 41 was never adopted. And they're a German family, tight with Hitler, tight with Mengele. They're all in the same photo that is included in a couple of my books, and now it's in the new book, is how the family was connected. It was Bush 41 and Borman that took out Tesla, while the dad, and Bush was his SS name in Germany. And so when the Kennedys found out and told him nobody in your family can run for any government office, it ends now, and then we'll give you back your industrial money that you made off of Tesla. And so they did that in September of 1963, and you see what they did to those two brothers in 63 and 68.
Wow.
So this is what they do.
Yeah.
So 41
George
didn't
Senior was
qualify.
he was what's that one cartoon, Curious George? So he was
Yeah,
running
that's all about him.
healing.
Yeah, they did that about him.
Yeah. And then the guy that was going to disclose, and the guy that created that comic was going to disclose that, I guess, and then he had a mysterious death.
Yeah, there are still mysterious deaths happening. Say that fast, Sheila. But they're still happening. They're fewer in number, but we've got to get the word out when it does happen, because that's what they do. They kill the truth speakers. We've mentioned before that Kennedy wasn't just taken out alone. They took out Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World, and C.S. Lewis. All three of those men were taken out on 11/2/2, which is 33. 33 is such a big thing to them.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and to take out three is a trifecta. And so, God bless them. Because God said, when you say bless them, then just let the Holy Spirit take care of them and you keep walking. And that's,
Very
and
good.
it's been hard. I go, you want me to bless? Are we talking about the same guys? You know what they did to me? I want to be mad. You know what I mean? I want to be really upset. And he said, you forgiving them isn't for them, it's for you. I'm like, oh, okay. So, and that's what's freed the path for me. And people keep going, you never mention their names. And I said, as soon as you forgive them, it doesn't take but a couple of 3 months and you don't remember their names.
Yeah.
You just, it all disappears and you just keep going.
That's true. That does happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by not carrying that weight anymore, by forgiving them, I send them love because as we know, love is the most powerful force in the universe. That's God's energy. You send that to them. If they're of a dark realm, that's going to destroy them. So that's why I tell everybody, send them love. I do that, and it's happened. It's happened to everyone that I've sent love to. They're all gone, all of them. So amazing.
Wow. Well, it's so enjoyable because you really get all these things. I mean, I wish we could talk every day because when I mention these things and then the depth about what it just, you make it so fun for me because I'm not carrying a load. Do you know what I mean? When we go into these things and people go, how do you remember all of this? And I said, guys, I've been beat up by the FBI. I've been beat up by the judicial system again and again and again. They wouldn't let it stop. Even last year, they removed me in 24 from being an American again. And I had to fight that again. I mean, it just never stops. So for me, there's such a passion for the truth to get out. And that's what's so fun with you because you've known what you've had to live through to learn what you've learned is so far beyond. I complain sometimes about what I've been through. Never had to become a SEAL. I never would have been able to make it. I wouldn't have been able to do the log things alone. And
That's funny.
show it. Do you know what I mean? You've been through it. You get who they are, and it's not going to affect you. It's just awesome. Awesome. I'm grateful for you.
Well, I'm grateful for you because you're definitely channeling some incredible information, and it's helping everyone everybody loves you when you come on. So they know that you're really connected, and it really comes through. It's a lot of love that you're giving out there in your work. It's amazing the information that you're diving into. I just showed a few pages, and I'm sure everybody's like overwhelmed by those few pages, like I am every time I look at your information. It's stunning. You could probably go through your information 10 times and still get more out of it on 11th, because it's that deep. And
Yeah.
when you're ready for it, more information reveals itself to you, and it's just amazing way that works.
It's so exciting because now I'm into the new books and there's more on this. But so many people have been writing to me. And remember when we said we were going to take on like a couple of points and discuss the points? We kind of did a little of that today, but these points are so big. I mean, that FBI chapter, I think, is the biggest chapter in the whole book. And so there's just things that about defining, and they want to be able to ask questions. And because we're attacked so much, it's hard to do it right from here. But if they want to send in questions, that we can then reveal the truth to them, because they don't know how to put it together like you do, Jaco. And it's so that's why it's so exciting to do these things with you. And when I was mentioning, I so packed this book, and people have been mad because when a chapter ends and if it's on an odd page, then the rest of that page is empty, and then the even page is empty because your new chapters always start on the right hand side, which is why I put a bunch of these points together, because I wanted to just keep going one to another on the smaller points. And so they said, so can you ever fix this? And so this is the first book I've ever done it in, and we'll see what they think. And so they said, well, give us an example. And I said, well, I put Kissinger in there. And they go, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I didn't want to give him more than a page and a half. And so I put him on the bottom of one page and on the next page. And Kissinger and the Pike, who said that his parents died when he was young, so he doesn't know who his parents were and what their names were, so he can never identify. But they're related, you know what I mean? And so he was on the church committee. All the church committee stuff. We could spend probably half of an interview just about all these committees they set up in order to do these things to us. And so there he is. I got a picture of him shaking Kissinger's hand, and then Kissinger's New World book, The New World Order. He brought out that book on 9/9 of 2014, because 14 was the year on the Georgia Guidestones when they were going to obliterate us. And so I put that in there, and they said, so you just squeezed him in there? And I said, yeah, I just squeezed him in there. And they said, so what do you mean? And I said, I didn't want to give him more than 2 pages. So see, he's just part of one page, but I wanted people to know his plan.
Incredible.
So I don't know if you want to read it. His plan tells us how evil they are.
Yeah, let me read it out. It says the plan. Today, Americans would be outraged if UN troops entered Los Angeles to restore order, and tomorrow they will be grateful. This is especially true if they were told there was an outside threat from beyond, whether real or promulgated, that threaten our very existence. It is then that all principles of the world will pledge with world leaders to deliver them from this evil. This one thing every man fears is the unknown. When presented with this scenario, individual rights will be willingly relinquished for the guarantee of their well-being granted to them by their world government. Henry Kissinger, in an address to the Bilderberg meeting at Evian, France, it looks like May 21st, 1992. So that's their plan, basically, create this one world order out of chaos. We've heard that over and over again, but he said it right there. And we just have to look at what they've said, because they say it. They say what they're going to do. They tell us what they're going to do always.
Well, and the blue helmets and the blue berets and the uniforms are in the lockers of our military guys, of our police, of our, do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
To go and stand with them. They've been using our military people for UN troop movements, and our military people were being forced under, it was heavy under Clinton, where they were being sent. And so many of the guys and look at what is built into now, where they have the gear right there ready to go. Because see, they were ready to take us into the world courts, exactly what he said in that plan. And people just want somebody to come in and fix LA when all these riots start. When that all happened up in Seattle and Portland, Oregon, I mean, all Seattle, Washington, and Portland, Oregon, when all that was happening at that border, and when they took over that part of the city, nobody went in and stopped it. Nobody went in and said this can't happen in America, you know. And so that's what they have done, is prepare us for that point. And so you guys let me know what you think, because now I've squeezed all that in. And they go, well, it's so much information. And I said, well, that's why I put it in the table of contents. And I remember when Todd Callender got the draft, and I said, well, now the table of contents is, of course, is 5 pages. And he goes, holy smoke, woman of God, what are you trying to do to us? And I said, I'm trying to help you. No, well, where was the Kissinger thing? Well, oh, okay, it's on that page. I'll go look for it. So I took all these page numbers, and it just took a lot of lines to put it all in. So
Yeah,
it's
let me
fun.
show the table of contents. It's pretty impressive, all the stuff you have in here. So I mean, it's amazing structure. Roman
That
Emperor.
that personal letter, just the personal letter in the front, takes more than a page of the table of contents.
Yeah,
I had no idea it was going to turn into all of this.
no, yeah.
No idea. Thought I was done when the personal letter was requested.
Mm-hmm. And then the
Like, well, what am I going to tell
45
him? A
points.
summary of what you told me?
Yeah. So then you go through in reverse order, like you talked about the 45
Mm-hmm.
points, and just like you talked about the internationalization of the Panama Canal. After we paid for it, blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of people died,
Mm-hmm.
and we just gave it away. That's
Mm-hmm.
what Carter did. Yeah. So very frustrating. All the things that they've been doing.
You
Then
see how upset I am with the FBI? This is why I said it's like the biggest chapter,
oh, look at that.
because I found out how they did all of this.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Control nation 51 years. Hoover refused to report to Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. So on and on and on. Russian students on student visas, crazy Russian. So it just keeps on going all the way down in here.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
yeah,
the main thing, tear our families apart. Don't let fathers be in control of the family, and the father is the key to your family.
yep.
So,
Put up the American culture. So I remember as a kid growing up, the black families were very strong. Very strong. I had a lot of friends, black friends, even in the South. We didn't as little boys and girls, we didn't understand, you know, anything that there was like, you guys can't play together. We all did. We all got
yeah.
along. And then, as we got older, they're like, oh, you guys can't play together, and because you're separate, and you're black, you're white, you go over here. And then when I started playing sports, we all played together. Then I went to the military. We all worked together. So this craziness that they keep trying to push is trying to separate us and cause, like they talk about in here, riots and separation and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's we've been through it. We have been put through it.
Yeah.
It's but look at what we've learned in these years versus the rest of our entire life. I mean, it's the same for me. People think that I'm so afraid of it. I said, no, I'm not. I did not know all this stuff was going to be in this book, and I didn't know that I was going to add that stuff in. And so I just kept these small little things off to the side, and then it was God that said, now go back and insert those where people don't like the blank space. So don't blame me. It wasn't my idea, but I just kept shoving them over there, and I just didn't know where I wanted to put Kissinger because I didn't want him to have a prominent spot because everybody has felt he's such an amazing diplomat. That's the guy
They
that
tell
told
us.
us
That's what they
that
tell
he
us.
lied about the gold, remember?
Yeah.
And
I
he
never, I
said
never
OPEC.
was, I was never impressed by him. Of it,
Mm-mm.
we're told that he's like the greatest, negotiator in the world. It's like, no, he's like, he's the biggest controller in the world. And, you know, we see all this stuff with Epstein. Uh, Henry Kissinger was like an Epstein guy. He had, women that were gathering information for him. That's starting to come out now. So, wow. And you
Well,
talk
and
about,
he used Nixon. Nixon was a Quaker. He wasn't going to allow this stuff to happen.
huh,
And so he had him take us off the gold standard. After he took us off the gold standard, then he took over, got Nixon out, and then he goes to OPEC and tells them they have to accept our fiat money. He tells us that all of our gold went there, so that's why there's no gold in Fort Knox. Everything has been a lie. Everything has been a lie. And the club are connected, and they only trust each other. And we're not in that club. So that's the way life goes.
yeah, they
So,
have each other in the back all the time.
yep, yep,
I would, I'm glad I'm not part of that club. But
yep.
they've done a lot of stuff to sabotage both of us.
Mm-hmm,
But we keep going. I
mm-hmm,
think that God protects us, the angelic realm. So I'm pretty happy about that. So,
yep,
and
yep,
just keep revealing. It's like
mm-hmm,
I'm like you. I'm like, oh, do I have to? That's not gonna like me. Uh, but it
yep,
ends up being better for
yep.
for us in the world. No, it's good.
Wow, it is. It is.
Yeah, fantastic. So Sheila, how can people reach you? I know you have your amazing website.
Hisbest.org.
What a great name. Wow. I love that name. Hisbest.org. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a lot of great stuff on there. Let me share the screen because I love that beginning. You looked like Shirley MacLaine when you were a little girl. Not MacLaine, but Shirley Temple. I
Yep.
I remember as a little boy, I loved Shirley Temple. I
Mm-hmm.
had a crush on her. So,
Mm-hmm.
and she's so sweet. But yeah, I mean, that's everyone. You should watch this little. I showed it last time. I think we were together, or maybe the time before. But that's a really through the decades with you.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very amazing. Very good. And then your interviews got lots of. Look at all those guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. So yeah, you have more interviews coming up.
Yep, I just did one with Bill Quinn. I'd never done one with Bill Quinn. Juan's been on there a lot, and so we teased about it for a long, long time. And no matter when we tried to schedule it, it wouldn't work. But he's doing what's called Insist on Truth. And I should get you guys together. His family had a Tory in it, and I don't understand the military structure of who the Tory was in the military structure of the making of the nation. So I think you guys would have because he's like, I have a Tory in my family, and see, here in the South, they all know this stuff, and I don't know that stuff, and so I try and get explanations of it, and they go, well, you don't know what it is, and then they don't explain it, and so anyway, it's okay. I'll be okay. So, but it's a Tory. He's got a Tory in his family, and I think you guys would have a good time
That's
chatting.
very good.
Yeah, he's about the Georgia process because Georgia has really made a name for themselves. I think you probably saw he was the guy there. Senate meeting, Congress meeting, the whole House meeting in Georgia. I don't know because we have assembly in California, but whatever they call it in Georgia, they had an all have to attend meeting, and they purposely, the speaker had a general counsel that he hired. The general counsel isn't even licensed as an attorney in Georgia, and he has him as his counsel, and that's the guy that knocked him over, and they were trying to have this senator arrested. The stuff that's happening in Georgia that doesn't hit the news, but they're a pivot point on all of this because Georgia was where everything happened because it was named after the architect, King George. They used him to set all of this up. And so, and then when they were done with him, they took him out with arsenic, same as the two presidents on our 50th anniversary, and then Monroe on our 55th. They took out Adams and Jefferson on our 50th, and then Monroe on our 55th.
Wow.
So,
gosh, I didn't know that.
This is what they do. That was a medicine at the time, but it's also a poison, so it's what they do.
Yeah, depending on the dosage. Yeah, it can stimulate you or it can kill you. So
Yes.
So they just like bloodletting. You used to have bloodletting.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Fine line. There's a fine line.
Yep.
Life and death is it's right there on that line. I've enjoyed this so much, and whenever you want to do this again, I would love to do this again, and if there's any questions that people have and they want to let you know, we'll delve in because we are able to explain it in a way that the people can really capture it because it's time to get everybody activated to do what they can do because all of us have different parts in this. No one, two-person congressman, you can't depend on any of them. It's we the people in order to form a more perfect union. So
absolutely, very good point. And yeah, more and more of us are talking that. I think people are starting to get it. It is making a difference, and it will make a difference going forward. We can't enter a golden age until we go through all this. And you're right, Trump's not going to be there forever, and we have just a short period of time to really get this right. And I think we're going to make it. Yep. All right, Sheila. Always pleasure and honor to have you on. I'm glad we got through a whole show. It's a secret show, so in the background, now we'll put it out there, so it'll be good. So thanks a lot for coming.
Operating stealth. Yep.
Absolutely. All right. Well, everybody, hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next time.